When I got married, I believed my life had finally started. I was happy. Not the loud kind of happy, but the quiet kind that lives inside your heart. I imagined a small house filled with love. I imagined my husband smiling at me every morning. I imagined little children running around, calling me a mama. I imagined everything. But life had another plan. The first year passed. No baby. People said it was normal. Relax, they told me. Enjoy your marriage first. I smiled. I believed them. The second year came. Still nothing. I started to worry, but I didn't show it. My husband stayed calm. He would hold my hand and say, "It will happen." I wanted to believe him. So I did. By the third year, things began to change. The questions started coming faster. Are you sure everything is okay? Have you gone to the hospital? Maybe you should pray harder. I started feeling small. Like something was wrong with me. By the fourth year, the love from people began to fade. Even the way they looked at me changed. Some people would whisper when I passed. Some would shake their heads. Some would just look at my stomach and sigh. By the fifth year, everything became worse. There was no more pretending. No more soft words. No more patience. My husband's family became my biggest problem. Especially my mother-in-law. Her voice was always loud. Her words were always sharp. And her anger was always waiting for me. Every morning, she would find me. Even if I was doing nothing wrong. "Wake up," she would shout. 5 years and no child, yet you are sleeping peacefully. If I was cooking. "You can cook, but you cannot give birth." If I was quiet. "Are you dumb too?" If I tried to smile. She would hiss and walk away. Sometimes, I wondered what I did to deserve it. I loved her son. I respected her. I did everything a good wife should do. But it was never enough. Because I had no child. The truth. The painful truth. The problem was from me. Not my husband. We had gone to the hospital many times. We had done tests. We had tried medicines. We had prayed. We had hoped. But nothing worked. I carried that secret alone. Like a heavy load on my head. I could not tell anyone. Because if they knew, things would become worse. Slowly, I began to change. Food lost its taste. Even my favorite meals felt like sand in my mouth. I would take one bite and stop. Sleep also left me. At night, I would lie down, eyes wide open. Looking at the ceiling. Thinking. Crying. Begging God. Please, just one child. I don't need many. Just one. But morning always came, without an answer. One day, I heard my in-laws talking in the next room. They didn't know I was there. "She is wasting our son's life. He needs another wife. What is the use of a woman that cannot give birth?" Their laughter cut through my heart. I covered my mouth so they wouldn't hear me crying. That was the day something inside me broke. But the worst day came soon after. My mother-in-law called a family meeting. Everyone came. Uncles. Aunties. Old people. Young people. Even people that had no business in my marriage. I sat quietly in one corner. My hands were cold. My heart was beating fast. I felt like a goat surrounded by lions. Then she stood up. Looked straight at me. And spoke. "If this woman does not give my son a child next year," she said loudly, "she should pack her things and leave this marriage." The room went silent. Nobody spoke. Nobody defended me. Nobody said, "That is too harsh." It felt like the world stopped. My ears were ringing. My chest was tight. Viv. After 5 years. After loving her son with everything in me. Tears filled my eyes. But I refused to cry in front of them. I swallowed my pain. And sat still. That night. I could not breathe properly. The pain inside me was too much. Too heavy. Too deep. I went into the bathroom. Locked the door. Sat on the floor. The cold tiles touched my skin. And then, a thought came into my mind. A dark thought. A dangerous thought. What if I just end everything? No more insults. No more shame. No more pain. Just peace. My hands started shaking. Tears fell freely. God, I whispered. I am tired. I can't do this anymore. Just then, I heard a knock. Opened the door. It was my husband. I stayed quiet. Maybe he would go away. But he knocked again. Stronger this time. Please, open the door. Something in his voice scared me. Slowly, I stood up. And opened the door. He looked at me. Not just my face. But my pain. Like he could see everything I was hiding. Without saying anything. He pulled me into his arms. That was it. I broke down. I cried loudly. Like a child. Like someone who had been holding pain for too long. I'm sorry, I said through tears. I have failed you. He quickly held my face. No, he said firmly. You have not failed me. But I can't give you a child, I cried. He shook his head. I didn't marry you because of a child, he said softly. I married you because I love you. I looked at him. Shocked. Because I knew something he didn't say. Before we got married. I didn't even like him. He was not my type. Not what I wanted. But he kept coming. He kept loving me. He never gave up. And now, this same man was standing here. Still choosing me. He wiped my tears gently. I will not let them destroy you, he said. I promise. I didn't fully understand his words. But I believed him. That night. For the first time in a long time. I slept. Not because everything was okay. But because I knew. I was no longer alone. But I didn't know. That my husband was already planning something. Something big. Something shocking. Something that would change everything. After that night, things became quiet. Not peaceful quiet. But the kind of quiet that feels heavy. Like something is about to happen. My husband did not talk too much. But I noticed something. He became more serious. More focused. Sometimes, I would catch him looking at me, with deep thoughts in his eyes. Like he was planning something. Days passed. Then weeks. My mother-in-law was still the same. Her words did not stop. If 1 year passes and nothing happens, you will leave, she kept reminding me. Each time she said it, my heart would shake. But my husband stayed calm. Too calm. One evening, he came home earlier than usual. His face looked different. Not sad. Not angry. But determined. Get ready, he told me. We are going to my parents' house. My heart skipped. Why? I asked softly. He looked at me and said, there is something I need to tell them. Fear entered my body immediately. Was he going to send me away? Was he tired of me? Was this the end? I didn't ask again. I just got ready. My hands were shaking as I tied my wrapper. When we got there, the whole family was already seated. It felt just like that last meeting. The one that broke me. My mother-in-law sat in the middle. Her face was strong, like a judge ready to give judgment. We greeted and sat down. My husband did not waste time. He stood up. I have something to say, he said. The room became quiet. I went to the hospital, he continued. I did some tests. My heart started beating fast. What was he about to say? Then, he brought out a paper. A medical result. He raised it up and said the words that changed everything. I am the one with the problem. Silence. Deep silence. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. It was like time stopped. I am impotent, he said. I cannot make a woman pregnant. I felt my body freeze. My ears could not believe what they just heard. What? I turned and looked at him. My eyes wide open. He continued speaking. My wife has been suffering because of me, he said. She is only managing me. She stayed even when she could have left. Tears filled my eyes. But this time, it was not pain. It was something else. Something deeper. The room was still quiet. Then slowly, all eyes turned to my mother-in-law. Her face had changed. Completely. The strong woman was gone. What I saw was shock. And shame. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. For the first time, she had nothing to say. One of the uncles cleared his throat. So, all this while, he said slowly. The problem was not the woman. My husband shook his head. No. Another person spoke. And she stayed with you? Yes, my husband answered. She chose to stay. Suddenly, everything turned. The same people that blamed me started looking at me differently. One of the aunties stood up. My daughter, she said, coming closer to me. You are a good woman. Another said. You are very patient. My mother-in-law finally spoke. But her voice was no longer strong. It was low. Soft. Broken. My daughter, she said slowly. I didn't know. I looked at her. The same woman that insulted me every day now could not even look me in the eye. I'm sorry, she added. Sorry. That word felt strange. Coming from her. She turned to my husband. You didn't tell us, she said. He replied calmly. I didn't want to talk about it. Then she faced me again. Please, continue to bear with my son, she said. You are a good woman. Bear with him. I almost cried. Because I knew the truth. But I stayed quiet. The meeting ended differently that day. Nobody shouted. Nobody insulted me. Nobody threatened me. Instead, they respected me. When we got home, I could not hold it anymore. I burst into tears. What did you do? I cried. Why did you say that? My husband looked at me calmly. I had to, he said. But it's a lie. I said. You are not the one with the problem. He stepped closer and held my hands. I cannot watch you suffer like that, he said softly. I won't allow anyone destroy you. Tears ran down my face. But what about you? I asked. They will think less of you. He smiled. A soft, peaceful smile. I don't care, he said. As long as you are okay. That moment, something changed inside me. I saw him differently. Not just as my husband, but as my protector. My safe place. My answered prayer. I remembered how I didn't even want him at first. How I thought he was not my type. And now, this same man was carrying shame. just to protect me. I cried again. But this time, it was not from pain. It was from love. That night, I knelt down and prayed like never before. God, I said, I don't want to disappoint this man. Please, even if it is just one child, give me. Days turned into months. Months turned into years. 3 more years passed. Still, no child. But this time, everything was different. My in-laws respected me. They treated me with care. They no longer insulted me. Because they believed I was the strong woman, enduring a broken man. But only me and my husband knew the truth. Then one day, my husband came to me again. I have saved some money, he said. For what? I asked. He looked at me seriously. Let's try again, he said. Another IVF. My heart started beating fast. Hope and fear mixed together. Because the first one had failed. What if it doesn't work again? I asked. He held my hand and said, what if it does? I looked at him. And for the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to hope again. But I didn't know that this time, something unbelievable was about to happen. After my husband spoke that day, something inside me came back to life. Hope. For a long time, I was afraid to hope. Because every time I hoped, I got disappointed. But the way my husband looked at me, the way he held my hand, the way he said, what if it works? It planted something in my heart again. So we tried. Again. We went for the second IVF. The hospital smell. The injections. The waiting. Everything felt like a long journey I had already walked before. But this time was different. This time, I was not alone in fear. I was standing on love. Days passed. Then the day came. The result day. My hands were cold. My heart was beating so fast I could hear it. The doctor looked at us, smiled, and said, congratulations. I didn't understand at first. Congratulations. I repeated. You are pregnant, the doctor said. My ears rang. My body felt light. Pregnant. Me. I turned to my husband. He was already looking at me. His eyes were shining. We didn't shout. We didn't jump. We just held each other tightly. Because after all the pain, the tears, the waiting, it finally happened. But we didn't know that the surprise was not over. A few weeks later, we went for a scan. The doctor moved the machine gently on my stomach, looking carefully. Then suddenly, he paused. He looked again. Then looked at us. There is something, he said slowly. My heart dropped. Is something wrong? I asked quickly. He smiled. No, not wrong. Then he said the words that shocked us completely. I can see 3. 3, my husband asked. Yes, the doctor said. 3 babies. I sat up immediately. 3. He nodded. Triplets. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. 3 babies. Inside me. I started laughing. Then crying. Then laughing again. My husband held his head. God, he whispered. We could not believe it. After years of nothing, God gave us 3 at once. From 0 to 3. That day, I touched my stomach again and again. Are you really there? I kept asking. But even then, I was still afraid. Afraid it was a dream. Afraid it would disappear. Throughout my pregnancy, I could not sleep well. Not because of pain, but because of fear. Every night I would wake up, touch my stomach, and whisper, "Please, stay." I prayed every day. Morning, afternoon, night. God, please don't take this away from me. My husband became even more careful. He treated me like gold. If you want to sit, sit. If you want to sleep, sleep. If you want anything, tell me. Sometimes I would just look at him and smile. Because this man carried my shame, protected my heart, and now was about to become the father of 3. Months passed slowly. Then the day came. The day I went into labor. The pain was strong. Very strong. But inside that pain, there was joy. Because I knew, at the end of it, my babies would be here. Hours later, I heard the first cry. A loud, beautiful cry. "It's a boy," someone said. Tears filled my eyes. Then another cry. "It's another boy." I started laughing through my tears. Then the third cry came. "It's a girl." That was the moment. The moment everything became real. 2 boys. 1 girl. 3 children. Mine. That was the first night, in many years, that I slept deeply. Because my heart was finally at peace. News spread quickly. Our daughter has given birth. Triplets. The whole town celebrated. People came from everywhere. With gifts. With food. With joy. My husband's family filled the house. My mother-in-law came. She carried my babies. One by one. Her eyes were full of tears. "How did this happen?" she asked my husband quietly. I looked at him. Waiting. He smiled. And said, "I went to India. I treated myself. The problem is gone." She nodded quickly. Believing him. Because the truth was clear. The 2 boys looked exactly like my husband. And the girl looked like his mother. No one could doubt it. Life changed completely. The same house that once had silence was now full of noise. Crying. Laughing. Running. Joy everywhere. My children are 4 years old now. 2 strong boys. 1 beautiful girl. Since then, I have not gotten pregnant again. But my husband always says, "These ones are enough." Every day, I look at him, and my heart is full. Sometimes I hold his hands, and just say, "Thank you." Sometimes I kneel, and thank God. Because a man like my husband is rare. I used to think real men did not exist. But now I know the truth. Real men exist. And I married one. A man who chose love over pride. A man who carried shame just to protect me. A man who stood by me when I had nothing to offer. Even today, I still respect him deeply. I don't joke with him. Not for anything. Because what he did for me is something I can never forget. And every time I look at my children, I remember one thing. Love is the greatest miracle of all. Short moral lesson. True love means standing by someone in their hardest time. Do not judge people or hurt them with words. Be patient and never give up, your blessing will come. Before you go, remember, more timeless tales await. Subscribe, like, and share AB Folktale Stories, where wisdom lives forever.